what's going on. This one's going to be about Kevin Garnett saying that him and the Celtics ran LeBron James from Cleveland, and my thoughts and takes on it. There's a yes and there's a no to it. They were a big three, but they weren't like a what I call a prime peak big three. They were more like, shall I say, kind of like Moses Malone, Dr. J, Maurice Cheeks when Moses came over to Philly, veterans with still MVP level play in them, but not that raw, young boned rise up what you saw with Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson's situation. Different situation. When Garnett, Pierce, and they had Ray Allen was a little bit young, but Rondo was the pup on the block. But it fit. But they were veterans. They had been through their wars. They had been in the league for a minute. So they all, have been battle tested. But they weren't like set for that 5 or 6 year window. There wasn't that kind of run. But anyway, Doc Rivers did a great job. But he ran out of Cleveland at that stage. LeBron was raw boned and raw. Kind of, and dare I say right now, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, is kind of in a similar certain situation, but I do think Milwaukee's a better squad. I don't think the East there's no Detroit there to get through. That was the bully. So he kind of has an interesting path. But I really think that Giannis can take Milwaukee further than LeBron could back then when Cleveland didn't have as much depth and talent and they ran through. Much like Iverson did with Philly. But there was a Detroit there. There's nothing really I see in the way. But this similar in that. But this is the thing. There's a yes and no to both parts. Yeah, the Celtics, because they formed and they were really good and Doc Rivers did a great job. And LeBron hated his racist owner, Dan Gilbert. I ain't got no problem with that. And I'm glad he came to my Miami Heat. Obviously teaming up with Dwayne Wade. And I've said this before. D Wade, a lot of people don't remember. But for a little brief time, he was a better player than LeBron. Also, D Wade had the mental edge that gave him that extra kick. And then you get Chris Bosh, who was a 20-10 man. And I still say the most important player that LeBron James ever played with, because he was the first guy that was on the superstar level tip that deferred, that played out of position, that allowed LeBron to facilitate and do what he do. And if you think about Miami's history, and Chris Bosh was always thrown as the third man in the mix, they tried a lot of people who are basketball aficionados try to treat Chris Bosh like he Tito Jackson or he Marlon or something. But y'all better give him respect, because like Randy and Jermaine were to Michael Jackson. That's what Chris Bosh was to LeBron James. Don't be trying to play him like he Jackie and Tito or Marlon. Y'all better give him some of that high tier love. But anyway, point is, he got to Miami, got it together. Focus. It took him the first year growing pains. I still won't forgive him for choking against Dallas. Dwayne Wade was the best player on the team during the first finals. I can't forgive. He cost us a chip, and he's known to do that through his career. As great as LeBron James is, he's known to do that. But anyway, Kevin Garnett did, after they lost 2 times to Miami, Ray Allen came over. He tried to form a big three in Brooklyn, and it was an old man's club, grumpy old man. It didn't work. They had the great uniforms, and I said Brooklyn's marketing and merchandising was gangster, but they had nothing there. So, and he goes back to Minnesota. So he's popping off. He's known to talk a lot of smack. I think he's one of the greatest players. However, Kevin Garnett, his peer-to-peer, obviously he wasn't no match for Shaq back in the day. I know it's different positions, but he couldn't match with that. And he wasn't no match for Tim Duncan. He got a butt. He only got out of the first round once. No one took the Timberwolves seriously back then, and he wasn't that kind of player. He was almost like an equivalent to a Peyton Manning to Tim Duncan's Tom Brady as far as the power forward position and what have you. And you know how that turned out. Garnett had a lot of stats. Bad dude. But he couldn't bring no chips. And it took him a while to get going. But Kevin Garnett's always been like the longer alligator head turkey version of Gary Payton. It's like an extension of running that mouth. And he's still running. And they pop off a lot in Boston. Because Paul Pierce talks crazy and Garnett talking crazy. There's some truth to what he's saying because Dan Gilbert had a hand in running LeBron off, and there was no love lost between the two. But at the same time, LeBron smashed they behind too, and they did try to reform in Brooklyn. And then Paul Pierce went to Washington, and they tried everything, and they couldn't do it. So he likes to talk a lot, but he don't tell all the truth. There's some truth to it, but there ain't all the truth to it. So, needless to say, there's some sour grapes because LeBron has been to many finals and has got double the rings as KG. And he kind of left him by the wayside back in 2012. There's nothing wrong with Kevin Garnett's great career, but LeBron James left him on the side of the road years ago. There's some truth to what he's saying, but he either need to word it better and say we both got ran, or he need to just shut up because nobody is sitting around listening to KG's tape on LeBron James's career when obviously you see how LeBron is manifesting what he's become. Even though there's some truth to KG getting about LeBron mental, there's some truth to it, but you ain't the one. All right, give me your thoughts and tips about Kevin Garnett saying him and the Celtics ran LeBron James from Cleveland. You agree, disagree, where you come down on both players' overall impact and their rankings. Hit the like, subscribe, and the bell rings on the video. Have a day. Good day. Peace.